What everyday skill becomes suspicious if you're too good at it? Recognizing faces. I was approaching the check-in counter of a hotel I didn't remember being in before when the desk clerk welcomed me by name. I was visibly startled. His co-worker explained he's got a freakish memory. I checked later, I had been there 3 years before. In his job, with the thousands of faces he sees a year, that is a little disturbing. I'm the mucking worst at remembering faces. To use a hotel analogy like you, I don't even remember if the bell cap that helped me unload my luggage from the car is the same one delivering it to my room 10 minutes later. I've read that the inability to remember faces or individuals is one of the signs of being a sociopath. Something about not valuing others or some such nonsense. Being calm. People accuse you of being cold if you are not as agitated as they are. Same here, and the more stressful the situation, the calmer I get. Makes people wary. Would you rather I be freaking out while we hide this body? Shuffling cards. Wanna play cards? Me, sure. Gambit routine with lightning speed. Not for money, right? Not for money? It's always for money. I shuffle cards worse than will.I.am. Knowing where people keep items on their person. Friend will be looking for his keys or phone and I'll know what jacket pocket he left it in. It's worse if you can move things from one pocket to another without them noticing. I once had a neighbor catch me while I was taking groceries out of my car and ask if I knew how to open locked doors as they locked themselves out by mistake. Went over to their door, took out a credit card, and shimmied my way in no more than 5 seconds. Probably was bittersweet for them. My boss locked herself out of the shop last week and I did this. We're getting new locks and a security system now. Hey, I'd rather know I need to deadbolt my door at night than figure it out another way. Walking silently. It's always a good skill to have to be able to be quiet in a moment's notice, but do it too well and you start appearing behind people and freaking them out. How long have you been there? Type things. My so's parents' house has hardwood floors that everyone just stomps around on. I don't like making noise when I walk, so according to them I sneak around their house and scare them unintentionally sometimes. I'm 6 feet 7 inches to 230 pounds and I walk super quietly. Always startling people. Like even if a place has creaky floorboards I kinda intuitively move around the creaky spots as to make no sound. I used to unintentionally scare the shit out of my mom on a daily basis. A big shadowy figure that seemingly appeared out of nowhere. I can kinda see how that'd be scary, I guess. But I'm still like, damn, chill out mom, I just came downstairs to get some mucking apple juice, jeez. Being able to quickly convert between ounce and gram. I can easily convert $100 bills into grams. A couple of years ago I locked my keys in my car in a Walmart parking lot. I went in and asked if they could help me. 2 employees came out with a jimmy. The one guy made a bet with the other that he could unlock my car in under a minute. He then proceeded to unlock my car in 15 seconds. I told him thanks, you must have a lot of practice. To which he laughed and walked away. Eavesdropping. I just passively listen to other people a lot when I'm alone, even if I'm doing something else. It gets really embarrassing when you bring up information you heard from their conversation forgetting that you weren't involved, or when you laugh at a joke said by someone across the room. Edit. My previous grammar frustrated me. Tying a noose. At basic training I got tasked to help the drill sergeants create their haunted house battalion competition. Long story. My drill asked if anyone knew how to tie a noose, and I whipped out a perfect one in only a few seconds. He just looked at me and said private. What the muck? I just googled it and the smart result, I dunno what the name for the system is, was my country's suicide hotline. I don't think it's really an everyday skill, but being able to tell somebody by the sound of their footsteps. When friends or family approach my door I know who's about to knock. I love creeping them out by saying come in, name here. You can tell a lot by the sound of footsteps. Who is it? Are they angry? Happy? Relaxed? Drunk? Are they wearing shoes? Heels? Barefoot? though I personally have a habit of tiptoeing everywhere. My mom has a distinct dull thud of her shoes on the wood floor, and I can tell if she's just walking down the hallway or coming to my room. I have full faith in my ability. I don't even close my porn when she goes past my room. The removal of stains. I like to use lots of bleach and get the OU must be used to cleaning up the murder scenes. A. I like the smell of it. B. If I was cleaning up a murder scene, there are way better chemicals than bleach. Maintaining composure during a crisis. Do it too much, people and think you lack sympathy and are a sociopath. Typing. I'm definitely going to say typing. I type at a little over 150 WPM. I've been repeatedly accused of faking it, which sounds funny until it's your coworkers and boss saying it, calling your work into question. Edit. Holy crow. Thanks for my most upvoted comment. To answer a couple questions, I'm a writer. I use a QWERTY keyboard and I've been typing for a minimum of 3 hours a day for the past 16 or so years. My typing speeds have been measured in varying tests for work and school, the lowest coming in at 138 about 4 years ago and middling out about 6 months ago at 154. The highest I've scored on any reliable test was 157 last year. Typing speeds like mine aren't all that uncommon, certainly not as much as they used to be. Nothing special, I just type a lot. I find it much weirder that people find fast typing unlikely. It's kind of creepy chatting with someone like that through him. I spend like 15 seconds deciding how to phrase and typing out "Did you like that one movie that came out last week?" And about 5 seconds later they respond with, "Yeah, it was better than I expected. I mean, it still wasn't the greatest movie I've seen, but I guess I'd recommend it to someone who likes the genre." It's like I'm talking to a bot. I used to be a dispatcher for Home Hearing Fuel in Juneau, Alaska, and when I meet people I'd say, "Oh, you live such and such street." I'd get an uncomfortable silence from them and have to tell them we deliver your oil. I work. Former garbage man here. Yup. Strike up a conversation with someone at a bar once who I absolutely mucking hated as a customer. These rotten pieces of shit would throw food and refuse straight into a can that I couldn't put on a tipper, meaning I have to pick up and dump 200 pounds of bullshit 6 feet in the air and dump by hand. As soon as I heard his last name I repeated the first and his address. That asshole knew. He knew. He had seen me throw that goddamn can into the middle of his yard on more than one occasion when I had rotten garbage juice running down the back of my neck because he was too lazy, stupid or cheap to use a mucky bag. I asked him politely to use a goddamn garbage bag or two and left it at that. And he did. Edit. Wanted to add, I am a former garbage man. That job is hell. Remembering things about a person from a few months, years ago when the person herself can't remember about it. You just look like a stalker and it's frustrating. I totally understand. People always think I'm a creep because I remember almost everything about them after meeting. Even if we met years before. I have this problem. I intentionally pretend to forget things about people half the time to make myself seem more normal. Like, it's freakish how good my memory is. Picking up on small details and remembering them for months. My friends are always like, "How did you possibly remember that?" I hate that. People ask me a question and I'm like, "You asked me the same thing last week on Monday and the week before on Wednesday. You wore a black shirt that day and we discussed politics over lunch, which was a steak." But it's quite selective. There's a lot I don't remember. Remembering someone else's schedule. I've had people get a little freaked out when I ask how a specific appointment, task is going when I remember them telling me about it days prior. My wife was suspicious when I could explain what happens in a Simpsons episode by the name or first sentence of the synopsis. I just watch a lot of Simpsons. Actively have Simpsons playing in the background right now. Not me, but someone I know once mentioned to me back in their high school days, they were suspected of being a snitch because they would always be inclined to leave right before the bust happened. It wasn't that the guy was a snitch. He'd say that sometimes he just got a feeling, or he knew when a party was just dead. Some sorta sixth sense for this. Every time he got around to leaving, his buddies would usually follow suit, since they were usually the ones dealing anyways. My grandfather was like that. He skipped so many Gestapo roundups. I asked him if he could pinpoint the thing that warned him, and he just say things looked different, and I got an uneasy feeling. Once he did get caught by Gestapo, but he wouldn't elaborate much what happened after. You can imagine why. Being a very persuasive salesperson. Ugh. If someone is too convincing, I just assume they're trying to scam me. Billy Mays here with my convincing abilities. Look, if you want me to take a dump in a box and mark it guaranteed, I will. I've got spare time. But for your sake, for your daughter's sake, why don't you consider buying a quality product from me? Running in high heels. Dudes that can run well in high heels have nothing to hide at that point. There was a great moment on So You Think You Can Dance one year when one of the male choreographers was choreographing a sexy burlesque style dance for 3 girls, and he pulls out this giant set of high-heeled boots and shows them how it's done. I can run in them, but I still haven't mastered walking without looking like a newborn deer. Someday.